Hey guys, it's Layla from Ignite, and in today's video, I'm going to take you through 5 key tips to help enhance your creative writing. But before I get into that, please do like and subscribe to our channel and click the bell for notifications. And if you're looking for resources to facilitate your HSC studies, check out our website at Ignite HSC. But for now, let's get into today's video. Okay, so this video is perfect for those students who are looking for some key tips to tweak and to enhance their creative writing. I always found in high school that my teachers would say to me, show, don't tell, but they never really explained to me what that meant or practically how I should change my approach to creative writing compositions to maximize my marks. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, here are my 5. And I'll explain what they each mean individually, focusing on moments, how to alter your approach to characters, how to treat time. Now, these first 3 relate to the broader construction of your piece, so thinking about what you're actually exploring, the subject matter, really, of your piece. And my later 2, referring to senses and syntax, refer to actual tips relating to techniques and construction. So I'll speak to all 5 of those individually now, but I wanted to separate them in this way. So I've got 3 relating to planning what you're actually going to explore, how your piece is going to be constructed in terms of its content. And this down here is looking at more the stylistic elements about your writing style. So let's get into it, starting with moments. Now, when I say moments, I mean, as you're approaching conceiving of your creative idea, you should be specifying a moment in time. I don't want to meet your protagonist when they were born. I don't want to learn about their life story and then take me to a crucial point in time. Start with that crucial point. In very effective creative compositions I've read, I've had students write about the moment that they discovered their husband was having an affair, or a crucial moment where a spouse chose to leave their partner. I've had students writing pieces about discovering that their brother or their sister had done something really, really bad and they had to cover up for it in a playful way. Discovering that somebody you love has a mental illness. So these sorts of ideas are pinpoint, a moment in time, and then stretching out all of the elements of that moment are really effective ways of conceiving of your writing. So we don't want to pass through a lot of time. We want the one moment, think narrow, and extrapolate on all of the elements that constitute that one particular moment in time. Moving forward from that, I would also like to note that you don't need to have some sort of brilliant idea that's underpinning your piece. Going narrow ensures that you've got a very specific, finite focus so that you can actually build on the way these ideas are expressed as opposed to what you are expressing. The other point to raise in relation to moments is even though we're placed in a moment of time, you can use flashbacks or memories to previous points in time. While your character is still situated in the present, their mind can trace a previous point in time, but you want to keep it predominantly in that moment. Okay? So moments, that's my first bit of advice. Second bit of advice is to limit the number of characters. And that kind of builds on the theme of the previous slide. Not having too much going on in your piece. So through having no more than 2 characters, if you're writing a creative composition that is, and most of this advice, by the way, guys, is running on the assumption that you're writing an imaginative piece. Limit it to 2 characters. Now, the reason for that is because typically, especially if you're listening to this as a HSC student, when you're doing the craft of writing module, you have 40 minutes for that section. And you might have the full 40 minutes to write your creative composition, but it is also a possibility, a likely possibility, that you'll be doing your composition and then a reflection. So it might only end up being about 25 minutes of writing time. Keeping that in mind, your composition is going to be quite short. You don't have the length, even if writing for the full 40 minutes, to explore a multiplicity of characters and to have that complexity in the plot line. Keep it simple because practically you don't have a lot of time to write the composition and you want to showcase your style of writing more than being stuck up and lost between the complexity of characters and having too much going on. So limit the characters, I would say, to 2, and that prepares you for the practical nature of the actual exam. And then again, building on from moments. That's why I started with moments, by the way. Start off by framing with focusing on a moment in time. We're going narrow. Leading on from that, you want to narrow the characters. And now with time as well, I would advise you to have the piece limited within a 24-hour period. Pick up on that narrow point in time. Don't have too much time passing and limit it to the 24 hours. As I mentioned earlier on, a caveat to that is that you can, of course, have a flashback or a memory, but limiting it to the one day forces you to have the excitement. A good way rather of having that excitement is through starting in media res, start in the middle of action, get us into the complication and keep your reader enticed and excited. And you'll do that through ensuring that not too much time is passing. Okay, so the 3 points that I've raised so far are helping you think about your idea. So if you had, an idea, but it's involving too many characters or it goes over too many periods of time, too many locations, you're going to reframe that in light of the previous 3 slides. Now I'm focusing on some tips to help the actual way that you write. And this relates to the common refrain that teachers love, which is the show, don't tell. My first bit of advice here is to focus on senses. We have 5 senses. We've got let's hope I can remember them, taste, sight, touch, hearing, and smell. Okay, olfactory imagery refers to smell, auditory imagery refers to sound. You can just kind of refer to taste, I think, if you're referring to taste-like imagery. Visual imagery and tactile imagery refers to your touch. Use those different types of imagery to appeal to the senses of your reader. You can also use synesthesia, which is where you kind of intermix different senses in moments of your text. You can be very figurative in using words that are kind of abstract to describe senses. I read a beautiful piece once where a student described the room smelt of lavender oil, of old clothes and loneliness, right? In that the tripartite structure to the sentence, they had the 2 olfactory senses that were being appealed to, and they included an emotion to try and tap into how that room felt. So sensory appeal is so crucial. And don't forget all of the senses. Students become very focalized on creating the vision of something, but focus on smell as well. Smell is such a profound element of creating a space. And touch, how things certainly feel. So really take your reader to that moment in time and dramatize all of the different elements. And to do that, thinking about our senses and igniting our senses is so profound to ensure that your writing is really appealing to your reader. So sensory imagery and senses more broadly is a really good tip. And my last one to consider here is syntax. Now, syntax refers to sentence structure and word order. What I often notice with students is they tend to be quite repetitive in the length of their sentence, and that can have the effect of boring the reader or lulling them into a certain rhythm to the extent that we miss the important parts of what's being said. So what you can do is use variation in your syntax length. Have some longer sentences, but then mix it up with a short sentence. Have a 1-word paragraph, and that playfulness in the sentence length works to kind of enliven and make sure that your marker is alert as they're navigating their way through your text. And it's also important to ensure that your syntax is reflective of the subject matter that you're describing. What I mean by that is that there is often a correlation between the way the sentence has been written and the ideas the sentence is conveying. For example, if you're describing a very beautiful, tranquil setting, say you're transporting your reader to a beach, and you might write, the waves moved backwards and forwards and backwards again until they slowly diffused on the sand, right? There's lots of pause in there. The sentence is elongated because we want to dramatize through the nature of the sentence itself the subject matter that is being evoked. Conversely, you might be describing a fight between 2 individuals, and it may read something like, she punched him, he fell, he bled, he tried to fight back, he died. Now, the short, truncated, repetitive syntax there has the effect of mimicking the actual actions between the characters. So think carefully about how you're using syntax to evoke what's happening in the text and indeed enhance the subject matter that is being conveyed. Okay, that concludes my 5 tips, guys. Remember, keep it tight in the story in terms of its content, moment in time, no more than 2 characters, and keep it within the 24 hours. And when you are writing, if there's 2 things I want you to take away, appeal to senses, all of the senses, and dramatize them, and throw in some abstract ways of describing senses as well, and intermix senses through the use of synesthesia to really excite all of the senses at different times. And use syntax effectively to evoke the subject matter of what you're conveying. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed that and found it useful to enhance your creative writing style. If you have any questions, please do comment. And if you are enjoying our content, like and subscribe to the channel. If you are wanting some extra help with your HSC studies, if you're looking for notes on context, form, textual analysis, and exemplar responses, check out Ignite HSC. They will be so instrumental, the resources we have, in facilitating your studies. But again, guys, I really appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.